Hey guys, welcome back to another video in the rSlash/JUSTNOMIL subreddit. Today I have a 7-part fiasco for you guys that took place over the past couple of months, revolving around OP's narcissistic, guilt-tripping in-laws. To sum it up, mother-in-law nearly kills a dog, drama happens, no contact happens, Mill uses her husband and children as guilt-tripping middlemen, Mill sends a fake apology email to OP and husband, doesn't get the response that she wants, so mother-in-law publicly shames them all over Facebook, so it all ends with court, and mother-in-law never getting to speak to her son again because she decided to be immature and irrational. Anyways, that was a horrible explanation. The crazy is hard to sum up easily, but this is a long one, so buckle up and let's just jump into it, shall we? I've never experienced hostility like this before, and I've dated a full-blown narcissist. Throwaway because my identity is going to be obvious to those involved. Everyone involved has Reddit, and I don't want the toxic side of the family having my main. And lastly, sorry for the actual giant novel I'm about to subject everyone to. It's also worth it to mention that prior to this happening, mother-in-law and I got along great. No fights, no arguments, nothing negative at all. This was entirely out of the blue. So my husband is military and is getting ready to deploy. We got an offer from his mom to take care of our dog while he was deployed so I could still work and not have to worry about the dog being alone, as he was only 3 months at the time. We thanked her and told her the dates he was going to be gone, which was early November to the beginning of January. We told her she didn't have to do this, but we're extremely thankful. Mill is currently doing ketamine treatments for major depressive disorder, anxiety, and bipolar, and isn't supposed to be traveling for several days afterwards. She took it upon herself to leave immediately after 1. She insisted on coming down 6 weeks early, even though we told her we could bring the dog to her. She told us no, she needed the trip. We say okay, and she starts driving. She lives 4 states away. She gets here and immediately starts criticizing us. One of my best friends is a veterinarian and has been training dogs for most of her adult life, so I go to her for advice where my own knowledge fails. The first day Mill was here, she brought a self-feeder and a waterer, both the extra large, 4 gallons. She bought him a giant Kong toy that was bigger than his head and filled it with peanut butter. Something we told her we weren't giving him yet since both his parents are allergic. He chipped a tooth on that toy because it's rated for adult aggressive breeds, not baby huskies. She said she bought all that stuff because the dog girl at the Petco recommended it for him. Both the bulls are bigger than him. An adult human doesn't need 4 gallons a day, and a puppy will just eat and drink until they're sick. They don't know any better. But regardless, she filled both while we were at work and let him have free reign of the house. Normally we have dog gates up so he doesn't destroy everything. She took everything down, gave him more than his weight in food and water. We came home to a torn up house, pee, poo, and vomit everywhere. When we got home, we got berated for how we were treating him. She was rocking back and forth in the chair, literally crying about how we were abusing him, that he didn't have enough toys, food, or water, and that we should never crate train a dog. He has an entire toy box with a wide variety of toys, bowl is appropriate for his size, and while we are crate training him, it's rated for his full size, not his current size, so it's giant. He doesn't get left alone in there and the door doesn't shut. I was mad, but didn't want to be rude, so I excused myself politely and stepped out for some air. When my husband finally came outside after being yelled at, I told him I was no longer comfortable with her taking the dog, and that we would work something else out. He agreed and asked them to go back to the hotel, and we could talk in the morning. Well, morning came, we went out for breakfast and a walk in the park. While we were sitting eating breakfast, his mom brought up his dad's career. My husband tried to include me in the conversation, but I mentioned that I don't really know enough to contribute. Bless him, he tried to change the subject to include me, but mother-in-law kept changing it back, and we were both clearly uncomfortable. We weren't that far from home, so I told him I was going to walk back so he could spend some time with his mom. I texted him on my way back to ask if that was okay, or if he wanted me back because I didn't want to be rude, but he never answered. He doesn't check his phone while he's with his mom because she gets furious if he focuses on anything other than her while they're talking. She had her phone out the entire time. They eventually said goodbye, and before he got home, he got a text from his mom calling me all sorts of things. She told him that I was insecure for taking time away from them when they came all the way up here, called me a bitch, spoiled brat, all sorts of crap. So of course he showed me the text because he's a good partner. I was hurt and angry and texted her a long response. She didn't respond to me. She called my husband, saying she didn't realize and half apologized. I didn't mean to be hurtful. I'm sorry she was upset by my concern. I accepted it for the sake of sanity and moved on. She told us she didn't want to take the dog anymore anyway, but would pay for boarding and just wanted to have a good visit now. We told her she didn't have to pay for anything, that we would find someone, but agreed to the good day. We went out, spent the day together, had lunch, and had fun. I thought that was that, and it was all water under the bridge at that point. But I guess that's where she started hating me. My husband has always just sat and let her yell at him, so me saying, "I'm sorry, but I need to excuse myself to get some air," really set her off. But I digress. A couple weeks ago, my husband got word that he was going to be transferred to a new station soon, and he excitedly told Mill about it. She wasn't super thrilled, but we brushed it off as concern about the move and distance, since it's further away than he's ever been stationed. A few days later, I sent her some pictures of my husband's new haircut because she asked me to send her pictures of him. She just said, "Nice pic," and nothing else. So I called and asked her if she was okay, and she told me she was worried about the move, worried that I pressured him into a location further away from her, and that she would never get to see him. I told her I had nothing to do with the move, and that I couldn't go that long without seeing my family anyway, so I promised we would visit. She again didn't say anything to me, but later called him about it. He reassured her that no one has any say in where the army sends him, since his job is very specialized and there's only a couple bases in the US where he can even work, that this is actually really good for his career, and that he's very close to a promotion. She said, "Oh, I didn't realize," and dropped it. Frustrating, but whatever. This week, she changed her profile picture to one with my husband and his ex-wife, with the caption, "Best day of my life." It's important to mention here that his ex was extremely abusive, hit him regularly, once hard enough to wake him out of a dead sleep the first night back from a combat deployment because she found porn on his browser history. She knew he watched, she just wanted to police the genres he watched. She put parental controls on the phone and demanded she go through it regularly. She threatened self-harm and violence against him whenever she didn't get her way after they separated, but before she moved out, she was mad that he wouldn't hand over his phone and stabbed their couch 16 times before pushing him to the ground. He finally filed a police report that night. Now there's a restraining order against her that she's broken twice. She's also got a warrant for failure to appear for her weapons surrender court date. His entire family hates her. Mill has stated she hates her. So when I saw that his mom changed her picture to that, I removed myself. I just didn't want to deal with the drama. A couple days later, she reached out to my husband to ask why I deleted her. Here's why I may be an asshole. I was furious that she would treat him like that. I've watched her use him as an emotional punching bag for our entire relationship. Every time she's depressed, anxious, or has a problem with his brother, which is roughly twice a week, she calls him to unload on him. He never feels good after the phone calls. He's always on the verge of tears, and I've seen him have a full breakdown after being told he was a bad son for not being able to get his leave approved to come visit her enough. So I sent her a giant message laying out how she was treating us. No response. Then his brother texted him an unholy nightmare of a rant about it, and my husband's response to it was incredibly calm considering what we both wanted to say. So at that point, my husband and I talked, and decided that all of this was entirely too much drama, and we both blocked the whole family, and that's where we are now. First of all, I want to thank everyone for the outpouring of support here. I honestly was starting to think I was just an unstable bitch. It's reassuring to know this is actually problematic. Second of all, I'm furious. We took the advice of everyone here, and my husband texted his dad last night, laying it all out on the table for him. Then we woke up this morning to a response from father-in-law, telling my husband that he is part of his mom's treatment, that he needs to reconcile for her treatments to work, and that mother-in-law is suicidal and needs a stress-free environment. Guys, I'm about to come absolutely unhinged. Father-in-law is literally begging us to take her abuse, and I'm terrified that my husband is going to crack. Mill wasn't always this bad, and he wants to go back to the days of her being supportive. As of right now, he's sticking to staying no contact. Friends, I can't. My husband has father-in-law, brother-in-law, and Mill blocked on most platforms, all social media, and phone. Well, we forgot about email. Mother-in-law sent my husband an email today, guilt-tripping the hell out of him. Friends and family have been made aware of these threads, and it got back to them. Oh well, that's why I used the throwaway. It was lengthy, and for the most part, total BS. She says that no one is blaming my husband for her illness or expecting him to be responsible for her mental health, which is half true. No one blamed him for her illness or implied he was at fault. However, father-in-law did outright tell my husband that he is part of her treatment plan. So I don't know who's lying to who on the just no side of the family, but it's obviously happening somewhere. She thinks my husband is unblocking her for long enough to stalk her Facebook profile, then re-blocking her, which is just insane. And if you know anything about blocking people on Facebook, it's just not how that works. In reality, it's been family and mutual friends reaching out going, "Hey, JUSTNOMIL posted blank. What's going on?" It's just been ignored because who knows what the Just Know fam is telling people. She of course also threw in some guilt about how she raised him with love and support, and how she would have just suffered through taking the dog if she had known she would be tossed to hell. I effing lost it, my dudes. She had been told directly and through father-in-law that we wanted no contact. She had been blocked on everything as a result and decided to go around everything to contact my husband directly and subtly attack me. Contrary to what brother-in-law has said, I don't actually have anyone blocked. No one has tried reaching out to me. JUSTNOMIL, however, has me blocked. My husband and I talked about this. We decided this was the last straw either of us could take. We are permanently no contact, regardless of future treatment, apologies, personal growth, etc. Because my husband has everyone blocked, I reached out to father-in-law. I told him this was wildly inappropriate and any further contact would be considered harassment, and an anti-harassment order would be filed with the courts. Cops have been called. Charges initiated, anti-harassment order has been filed. First of all, to everyone saying she wasn't going to back down, you were right. It all started with an email, an apology on the surface, accepting accountability for everything that she did. I'll upload and post a screenshot here in a few, but the email, copy and pasted directly, was this. OP, I've wanted to write you for some time, but wasn't sure how to begin. I've been thinking every day about the events that transpired and realize how right you and husband are to be so hurt and traumatized by my words and actions. With contrition, I apologize for hurting you both so deeply, and especially for calling you names I had no right to speak or think. It was easier to blame you for any conflict rather than accept that husband and I weren't communicating well. I blame myself. I didn't take the responsibility I should have. I take responsibility now. I love husband with all my heart. It took the recent events for me to realize our relationship was different than I thought. It was naive of me to think that being raised by a mother with major depression and suicidal ideation could be anything other than traumatizing. It's obvious to me that you love him very much, and your pain was evident in your defense of him, yourself, and your relationship. I'm sorry I put you in that position. None of the events that transpired were your fault. They were mine alone. I should have been honest in telling husband I wasn't capable of helping, but I didn't want to disappoint him. By not being honest, It led to our family being torn apart. As for my transgressions against you, if you have let go, I'm very glad and wish the two of you every happiness. I hope, however, that one day you will find it in your heart to forgive me. I hope with all my heart that you both heal, and please accept my deepest apologies. JUSTNOMIL. It's worth it to mention that she emailed my husband because she's been blocked on every other platform. It took us 9 days to even see it in spam, and only because we were looking for an email from someone else. I wish we would have just never looked. I'm going to breeze past the part where she addressed it to me, but sent it to my husband's email, and jump right into his response. While the apology is appreciated, there is too much hurt and trauma. It's been asked that our privacy be respected, and other members of the family have already made alternate social media accounts for the sole purpose of harassment. This is unacceptable behavior, and I politely ask that it stop. Please do not respond to this. We thought that was the end of it. We prayed that was the end of it. A family friend even told us that she posted on Facebook asking family to stop harassing us. We had so much hope. This was so much better than she's ever acted before. Then she did it. She made a giant Facebook comment full of lies, hate, more name calling, everything her mind could come up with to tear me down again. Up until this point, my husband and I had agreed to handle it as civil as possible, but this was the final straw. He broke the no contact and called her directly to tell her that was over the line and she needed to drop contact permanently. While he was doing that, I called the local police, who dispatched an offer to initiate harassment charges. I gave them all the screenshots, emails, messages, including the many where she mentioned herself that she's actively suicidal, the post where she asked everyone to stop making social media accounts to harass us, then did the same thing, then lied about me on the same post. All of it went to the police. My husband said that his conversation went as follows. She was angry at me again for making the post. Then sad that he was being brainwashed by me. I'm paraphrasing here. My husband is still too mad to relive it verbatim, then mad again saying she was justified. Then when she was told the police had been called, she cried and said she took it all back. That's when we hung up. I know I shouldn't be surprised it was all an act. I know I shouldn't be disappointed. The judge signed the protection order. I just got back from picking up the packet to have JUSTNOMIL served with the anti-harassment order. I fully expect her to fight it, and I know our war isn't over, but the judge agreed it is unlawful harassment, and that is a win. This won't stop her from lying to the family and telling them nobody is harassing me. I know that, but it's an end to the harassment itself, an end to the new accounts to stalk us, an end to the bullying, to the restless nights, to the anxiety of an unknown number calling us, an end to the 6-month-long nightmare. For the first time in half a year, I can see a light at the end of the tunnel. I was so happy, I cried in the courthouse. If this is it, we're going to celebrate this day like Christmas 2.0. Please send good thoughts. Beliefs that this is the end of it, that we don't have to deal with her anymore after this, that we can finally live our lives in peace. Regardless of the outcome, we will never be speaking to her again. Our anti-harassment court date is on Monday. She's fighting it, as expected. I don't know what she thinks is going to happen if we are not granted protection. Does she think my husband is going to come running back to her? Does she think she's going to get an apology? Does she think that winning in court is going to get her son back? Who knows? All I know is that I want to get it over with. We've expressed our wishes to remain no contact, and more than ever, we're sure of it. Regardless of the outcome of the hearing, we've made moves to cut them out entirely. We've moved, changed phone numbers, changed our last name, made new email accounts, and begun to heal. My husband and I had a long talk last week, and we came to the conclusion that this is entirely too much effort. We've submitted our evidence, and we will be putting our best foot forward on Monday. But ultimately, it doesn't matter if the judge grants it. We've said our piece and made our point clear. She is not welcome in our lives. The clarity and peace that came over us, for me at least, was freeing. She can make her social media posts. She can get her flying monkeys to message us. She can tell her lies to everyone that will listen. It doesn't matter to us anymore. The people in our lives that matter are on our side. That's all we need. Maybe someday she'll accept that her behavior cost this relationship. Maybe someday she'll heal. I honestly hope she does, but it will never again be our problem. Boy, oh boy, that was a roller coaster, wasn't it? First of all, this is exactly what's wrong with social media. Literally so much of this, well, all of this really, could have been avoided if the in-laws didn't immediately go to Facebook to air out their dirty laundry. Like, grow up. Yes, I understand OP technically aired out her dirty laundry on Reddit, but she remained anonymous, and Reddit is actually a great place for advice. And if the family weren't so crazy and didn't have their heads so far up their asses, they would realize that healthy communication and working together to solve issues would get them what they want, their son back. When I read the apology email at first, I thought, oh, that's actually a nice apology. Good for Mill to reach out like that. Only to see it was just a giant guilt trip when she didn't get the response she wanted. But abusive people typically don't want to change. It's too much effort. It's good for OP and OP's husband though that Mill showed all of her true colors, because now that dear husband has seen them, they can both move on from that entire Just Know family and live a peaceful life, which is so great. But anyways, that is all from me today. I hope you enjoyed that long Just Know Mill fiasco. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe. I truly appreciate when you do, and leave a comment below of what you think about this mother-in-law. I love to hear your guys' opinions, and I will see you in the next Reddit story. Bye!